Was there a specific inflection point that you said, hey, I'm trucking along, I'm working through patients, I'm taking the feedback, people are liking it, I'm not seeing it quite come to life yet? Was there a specific point that turned it all around?
Well, the past year, I think, has been the closest thing to that I would identify, because maybe a year or two, right before COVID. So I have a business partner for a fitness bottle that I invented. It's called the One Bottle. It should be coming out later this year. The partner for that, this is very crazy. Again, these are those serendipitous things in life. But my partner for that is this guy, John. And John is partners with Zoltan from Five Finger Death Punch they co-own BC Rich Guitars, and also this company Once Upon a Coconut Water. He's got a bunch of companies, but they co-own those. And right before COVID, he had always told me back in the day, like when I first met him and we became partners, he was like, "Oh, jiu-jitsu." He goes, my one of my best friends, Zoe, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and da 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 da. I said, "Oh, cool." And so he actually hooked my wife and I up with like, going to one of their shows up in PA, and it was like side stage, and we went backstage, and I brought him a bunch of Epic Roll gear, and I was kind of excited, gave it to him, and met Heather, Gracie, and I remember leaving the show, because at one point we came up on stage in the back and we were hanging out with them and stuff. And I remember leaving the show, and I was like, I looked at my wife, I said, "Man," I was like, "that guy Zoe is so cool." I was like, "What a cool guy." You know what I mean? Just like a rock star jiu-jitsu guy. So nice. Like, dude is awesome. Awesome. I said, "Wouldn't that be so cool if he was my partner for Epic Roll?" And we laughed about it, like, haha, like that's like, "Will Santa Claus be my partner with Epic Roll?" She was like, "Yeah, So and 3 years later, he's my partner, which we'll get to. But so I had given him stuff, and throughout the next year or two, I'd send him some more stuff. We'd find little connection points. Like my buddy Colton Smith, who is on The Ultimate Fighter, he has a school called Enlisted 9 in Fredericksburg, not far from here. We do all of their gear as well. He knew Zoe because they had worked together with some military stuff, and so there were these little little connection points. And Zoe will do these things. They travel with like everybody's black belts, right? Like everybody in their crew, it's like security, all black belts. Like, so when we roll in there, we got like, we're rolling in a crew of like 6, 7, 8 black belts, just, and so they bring mats with them. So before the shows, we have mats in the back, and we'll do jiu-jitsu, and we call it the backstage dojo. And so we went to another show, Colton Smith and I went, and this was, I think, when they were like touring with Megadeth, before they started touring with Metallica. And so we sat there, and at one point, like before Zoe was playing, everybody was kind of done, and he starts just asking me about Epic Roll, and we start talking about it and the brand or whatever. And we sat there for almost an hour talking, which was a trip for me, because this was the most FaceTime and the most conversations I had with this guy, and he's still a rock star. And I was like, still kind of enamored with that a little bit. And their head of security, Yako, was like, he was like, I want to let them talk. So he was trying to like filter people away and really give us our time to talk. And that conversation sparked something, because a few months later, Zoe reached out and he said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "I've met a ton of people who know Epic Roll and really like know you and like you and support you." And he's like, I'm actually really impressed with like where this brand has where you've taken it, just grassroots, with like one person and almost zero resources other than just what I got in myself, and he's like, I what do you think about us partnering up on this to kind of take it to the next level? And I was kind of like, wow, okay. So he actually wanted me to write him an email, and I formulated this really detailed email, kind of taking him through the whole evolution of this, the company and my vision and all of these things, because I really wanted to convey the passion that I had behind it, because he put emphasis on telling me that he believed in me as a person, and he respected what I had done so far alone with very little resources. So, man, within 2 weeks of that conversation, we had attorneys involved and logistics and things tied up, and him and Heather Gracie became, co-owners of this brand. And we had a very strategic plan to keep it quiet for a little while until we built up all this marketing material and did like a blitzkrieg on social media with, blasting everything and putting it out there. And that was such a pivotal moment because I finally had money again, right? Like there was like, and that wasn't my goal, but it was like I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. This whole company was like taking personal money, buying inventory, taking this because I didn't have enough cash flow from Epic Roll. So I'm trying to take money out of my real estate, take money out of this, buy inventory. And then, how much inventory do you buy and you have to have all these sizes and all this stuff. And Zoe said to me, when we became partners, he's like, Matt, he goes, you will never have to worry about money for Epic Roll again. He's like, you'll never have to get a bank loan. And there is absolutely no opportunity that if it's beneficial for this brand that we can't take advantage of.